Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Before starting formally, can I please invite honorable judges of this round, respected Nasir Bhai, our member. Please come on dais. Have a seat, please. Farah and Onabil. Farah is from Jahangirnagar Debating Society, and Onabil from Rajshahi University Debating Society. The three will judge today's semi-final round. They are very experienced and fantastic personality in the domain of debate. Well, I'll request the first semi-final two team of first semi-final, Mahmoud Shabujan Kong and Eknobin, to have a seat, please. Please come on to the dais. Okay, all set to go. Thank you everyone for being here. I feel deeply honored for being here and stand in front of you in this great debate contest. 24 teams have participated in the DRC-ICAB DRC Interim Debate Tournament Session 2. At first, I would like to request our Honorable Kausar to recite from the Holy Quran. Please, Kausar.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم من عمل صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى وهو مؤمن فلنحيينه حياة طيبة ولنجزينهم أجرهم بأحسن ما كانوا يعملون فإذا قرأت القرآن فاستعذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم صدق الله العظيم অর্থ যে সৎকর্ম সম্পাদন করে এবং সে ঈমানদার পুরুষ হোক কিংবা নারী আমি তাকে তাদের পবিত্র জীবন দান করব এবং তাদেরকে তাদের উত্তম কাজের কারণে প্রাপ্য পুরস্কার দিব যা তারা করত। অতএব যখন আপনি কোরআন পাঠ করেন তখন বিতাড়িত শয়তান থেকে আল্লাহর আশ্রয় গ্রহণ করুন। সূরা নাহল আয়াত 97 থেকে 98। Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Kausar. In the gala semi-final contest, here in presence Honorable Vice President of ICAB, our very, very respected and beloved Rokunujaman Sir, FCA, and are also in presence Honorable Chairman of DRC, Mahmoud Rahman Shahid Bhai, Honorable Secretary of DRC, Akizur Rahman Bhai, and respective DRC member, Moin Bhai, Mustaq Bhai, and Famida Apa Eklas Bhai are also in presence, and respected members of the institutes and respected beloved participants are also there. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for being here and enjoy the mega contest of logical intelligence. Okay, thank you. This is Secretary Honorable Akizur Rahman Bhai FCA to welcome the participant, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome all of the semi-finalists. Hope to enjoy a very good debate today. I also want to welcome all of the participants, our honorable members here. Thank you all for being present here. All of us are waiting to enjoy the debate. I will not go for speech because we are a bit late. So we are going to start now. Thank you, Rashid. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable Secretary of DRC. Now I'd like to request Honorable Chairman of DRC, Mahmoud Rahman Shahid Bhai, to welcome the participant and say something about the program, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Rashid. Welcome, dear students and the fellow members. Welcome everybody to our first semi-final of Debate Season 2. This is the second time we are holding this program for our students, and we see a bit improvement compared to 2020-23. And I welcome everybody to enjoy the first semi-final, and I'm not taking much time because actually we are late. Thank you, everybody. Welcome.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman of DRC. This year, 24 teams have participated in the interim debate tournament of ICAB, arranged by DRC. Okay, thank you all the firm to nominate your team to be part of this great tournament, great contest. Okay, now I would like to request our honorable chairman, honorable chief guest of this session, our beloved Rokunujaman sir, to express your speech and let us start the today's session. Thank you very much. Honorable Rokunujaman sir, please come on to the dais.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Congratulations, youngsters. This is a battle. When there is a war, there are smaller battles. You have to win one after the other, then towards the final war that you win. One thing that I used to always think about our accountants' capacity and the way they usually run their lives in the society. Usually accountants are a bit introvert. They have got sufficient knowledge in the area they serve, they work for. But unfortunately, to speak out in front of the people, to participate in the technical conversation, to impress people by, I mean, let's say, demonstrating kind of negotiation capacities and all this. So these are all limitations. I think the underlying logic is that our speaking courage is always very little. And perhaps this is something just because of our perennial societal kind of indicators. Back into our families, ideally, when you are a baby, seniors stop, hey, don't speak, seniors are there. Into our academies, I mean, young students are not allowed to speak in front of the teachers. And if at all they are allowed to speak, within a very specific perimeter and not beyond that. Into our accounting firms, principals are all bosses, students are allowed to speak very minimum. The time is changing for sure, but I think this is going to be a healthy kind of activities. Congratulations DRC. I mean, it's being, I mean, continued, I mean, activities that they are trying to help our youngsters to, I mean, let's say, break that boundaries, break their, I mean, limiting kind of, I mean, issues and concerns. I think by participating in this kind of, I mean, debating sessions, I mean, each of the logician will definitely, I mean, let's say, gain kind of extra courage, and beyond this particular room, I think into their real lives, they will be able to speak out in courageous way, and they will be winning their lives. Thank you. I used to, ask you to start this program formally. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your constructive speech. Now, we would like to start the first semi-final. Okay. First semi-final between Mahmoud Shabujan Kung and another team, Eknabin Chartered Accountant. Okay, before starting, I would like to request Honorable Convener of this session, Convener of this tournament, Mohammad Israfil Bhai, FCA. And after that, we will start directly the debate tournament. Please, Israfil Bhai.
Assalamu alaikum and very good evening. Thank you very much for coming, especially our respected members and students, and advance congratulations and best wishes for both of the team, because both have the caliber to be a finalist. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much. Now, not taking much time, I would like to request honorable judges to start today's first semi-final. Okay, requesting honorable Nasir Bhai to start the first semi-final, please. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Rashidul. Welcome, audience. So let's start our session. Welcome, everyone. Both the teams, are you all ready? Okay, before starting our main session, let me tell you about some housekeeping rules. You already know about that. In terms of timing, in the constructive round, you will be allowed for 5 minutes to talk. And within these 5 minutes, you will have warning bells when there is 1 minute, and then after 4 minutes, and at the end of 5th minute, right? And you have to complete your speech within these 5 minutes. Only 5 to 10 seconds will be allowed after 5 minutes. but no arguments placed after that in initial 5 minutes will be taken into account. So mind about that. In rebuttal round, you are allowed to talk for 3 minutes, and each of the minutes you will have a warning. And during the session between 1 and 4th minute, while from one team, one speaker is speaking, from other team you can ask your question by raising your hand first. If the speaker allows you to ask the question, only then you can ask that question, okay? And you have to complete your question within 15 seconds only. And timekeeper, I think our judge honorable is already starting him very right way. So at the time of asking the question, the time will be paused, and after the question is asked, the time again will start counting. So timekeeper, are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, can you start? Okay. We are taking some minutes. So today's motion, let me tell you, this house believes that foreign aid has done more harm than good to long-term development of Bangladesh. All good? Okay? Okay. So let's start. So now I will first invite from government side who is in favor of this motion, Honorable Prime Minister, Ms. Tasmia Habib.
Honorable Chair, members of the House, ladies and gentlemen, we stand here today to strongly affirm the motion. This House believes that foreign aid has done more harm than good to Bangladesh's long-term development. Now let us be clear. This debate is not about short-term humanitarian relief or temporary crisis management. It is about Bangladesh's long-term development. Yes, foreign aid has provided immediate support, saving lives, feeding children, and funding schools. But in the long run, it has entrenched dependency, distorted our priorities, and weakened our institutions. So aid may look like oxygen, but it has kept Bangladesh on life support instead of letting us breathe on our own. Now, what do we understand by the term foreign aid? Financial resources, technical assistance, or concessional loans provided by foreign governments, multilateral institutions, or international organizations to support Bangladesh's development, including grants and development-linked loans. By the term long-term development, we mean Bangladesh's sustained ability to achieve economic growth, institutional strength, and self-reliance measured by structural transformation, resilience, and reduced dependency over decades, not short-term crisis relief. Let's be clear. Honorable Chair, foreign aid comes with strings attached. We cannot use it for our national priorities. It forces Bangladesh to follow donor agendas, leaving us dependent and with no real choice in shaping our own development. Honorable Chair, the real question before us is not whether aid brings temporary relief, but whether it is sustainable. And the answer is a clear no. Foreign aid gave us school, but not the teachers. Health campaigns, but the medicines vanish when grants dry up. Roads and rails, but with debts that trap us. Even after receiving 98 billion in aid since 1971, Bangladesh still struggles with floods, crises, and weak institutions because aid was never sustainable. So the real question is, what is sustainable? Our own initiatives, BRAC schools, public-private partnerships like the Dhaka Elevated Expressway and community resilience, cyclone deaths cut by 90% through local volunteers, not through donor mercy. So the choice is clear. Aid keeps us waiting for the next check. Safe reliance builds long-lasting strength. Aid is not sustainable. Bangladeshi resilience is. Now the reason for why we affirm with the motion, foreign aid During 1988, 2007 and 2024, Feni floods brought short-term relief but failed to build sustainable flood management, leaving Bangladesh trapped in a cycle of vulnerability. In 1988, donors pledged US $2 billion, US contributed around 160 million. In 2024, UNICEF appealed for US $35 million, EU gave 1.1 million euros, yet damages reached around US $1.2 billion. Now, Honorable Chair, despite massive inflows, Feni remains one of the most flood-prone districts after 36 years. Now my question is, if aid is like training wheels on a bicycle, why are we still dependent on them decades later, instead of learning to ride on our own? 36 years after the 1988 Feni flood, Bangladesh still relies on foreign aid for infrastructure and disaster management. Feni has faced devastating floods in 1988, 2007, and 2024. Despite massive foreign aid, the district remains vulnerable, showing that relief has been temporary while permanent infrastructure and resilience were ignored. Decades of aid have not broken the cycle of dependency. Feni still floods, proving long-term development was never achieved. Secondly, foreign aid takes credit for Bangladeshi innovation. The opposition may claim that aid saved lives through oral rehydration solution and vaccines, and that it incubated local solutions that are now world models. But the reality is, ORS was invented at ICTDRB in Dhaka, not by donors. Mortality dropped from 143 out of 1,000 in 1990 to 29 out of 1,000 in 2022, largely thanks to BRAC's 70,000 community health workers, not donor-funded programs. Aid-funded schools, vaccines, and handouts, women's empowerment, but sustainable long-term development came from BRAC's schools, national reforms, and the garments industry. Aid gave band-aids, not capacity. It never taught Bangladesh to fish or build long-lasting resilience. Now my question is, if aid is a lighthouse guiding development, why does Bangladesh keep crashing into the same storm of floods, debt, and weak institutions? Honorable Chair, now consider this. In the worst case scenario, what if Bangladesh had received less aid or no aid at all? Yes, in that case, the short-term suffering might have been greater. Yes, in the longer run, but in the longer run, we would have built resilience by reforming our tax system, by strengthening the institutions, and driven community-led solutions, just as Botswana did. Botswana, though it's not rich globally, is among Africa's most prosperous nations. Despite receiving 5 billion aid, it outperformed neighbors with even more aid because it chose reforms, economic freedom, and strategic ownership over dependency. The lesson is clear. Prosperity comes not from handouts, but from self-reliance. Bangladesh's part too would have been slower, but far more sustainable, sovereign, and self-decaying. So, Honorable Chair, true development does not vanish with a donor's check. Like suppose when US aid stopped giving loans after recent government change, we saw that projects collapsed.
Thank you,
Proving
Honorable
aid
Prime
were never
Minister.
sustainable
Thank
and
you.
volatile. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for your speech in favor of the motion. The motion was again, let me take. Okay. Do you want 1 minute strategic time? Okay. 1 minute strategic time, please count, 1 minute. So 1 minute strategic time is over. Now let me invite Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Sadman Saqib.
Honorable Speaker, imagine Bangladesh in 1972, a nation shattered by war, famine threatening every household, and infrastructures in ruins. Fast forward to today, industry thrives, millions of women walking proudly to work, children logging into digital classrooms, and a nation tied to global market. This change did not just happen by chance. It happened because our people worked tirelessly and because foreign aid brought the capital, knowledge, and opportunity that laid the foundation for enduring progress. So when the government said aid has done more harm than good, we must ask if saving lives, educating millions, and building power plants and bridges really harmful. We on the opposition say absolutely not. To support our claim, we have three reasons. Our first reason is aid built industries that sustain prosperity. Our GDP has grown more than 75 times since independence, and per capita income has risen over 25 times. This incredible transformation was possible because foreign aid gave Bangladesh the initial capital, training, and market access to grow. The clearest example is the RMG sector. In the 1980s, aid-backed training programs, concessional loans, and foreign partnership helped Bangladesh set up its first factories. That small beginning has grown into an industry that now employs over 4 million workers, mostly women, and generates 84% exports. Beyond wages, aid helped millions workers, aid helped build the skills, infrastructure, and global trade connections that continue to fuel our growth. If aid is harmful, are the livelihood and dignity of 4 million women harmful too? Our second reason to support our claim is aid develop infrastructures for generations. Foreign aid has delivered assets that will serve our children and their children. The Rebuttal nuclear power plant, built with $12.65 billion in Russian assistance, will provide 2,400 megawatts of clean energy for decades, powering homes, schools, factories. The Podda Bridge rail link project, backed by $3.6 billion in Chinese loans, connects Dhaka to Southwest, cutting hours of travel, boosting trade, linking farmers to markets. These are not temporary relief measures. They are long-lasting foundation for productivity, opportunity, and national strength. So as I ask the government, are power plants, bridges that serve generation harmful, or they are the pillars of tomorrow's Bangladesh? Our third reason to support our claim is aid improved living standard and human capital. Since independence, foreign aid has been at the heart of saving lives and building skills for our people. In poverty reduction, donor-backed microcredit programs funded with hundreds of millions of dollars cut rural poverty by almost 10%, helping nearly 2.5 million people escape hardship. In health, the expanded program of immunization, supported by more than $2 billion from UNICEF and WHO, delivered nearly 1 billion vaccines, and in 2014, Bangladesh was declared polio-free. Millions of children are alive today because of this aid. In education, the primary education development program with $100 million grant from the World Bank and the Global Partnership for Education helped about 19.5 million children.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition, another question. There is a question. Do you want to take it?
Yeah, sure. We'll get back to you. Okay. I was there. Global Partnership for Education helped about 19.5 million children finish primary school. Today, 97% of Bangladeshi children enroll in school, something that was unthinkable decades ago. So I asked the government, how can millions of families gaining education, health, and security called be harmful? The government prime minister, my beloved prime minister, just said aid causes dependency. But aid built industries, infrastructure, and skill that remains. That is pure, real self-reliance. You said about BRAC. BRAC is an organization which runs with foreign aid itself. Whatever you are saying has nothing to do with foreign aid. It's our institutional collapse that causing the mismanagement of the aid funds. You said about loans. How can an underdeveloped country like Bangladesh make mega projects on its own? They don't have their own money to sustain these projects. Honorable Speaker, foreign aid has never a burden. It is why children survive diseases, why women work with dignity, why families cross new bridges, and why lights stay on our home. This is not harmful, this is progress, opportunity, and hope. The foundation that aid has laid for generations. So I ask, can you truly call this life saved, these children educated, this future secured harmful? He also said aid burdens us with debt. Most aid came as grants. Most aids came as grants and concessional loans with near zero interest. So how can you call it a burden? So we on the opposition proudly stand for today's motion, against today's motion. Thank you.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition. Thank you. Let me now invite Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, Mr. Mamunur Rashid.
Okay. Honorable Speaker, respected panel, brilliant opposition, our Prime Minister has nicely explained how foreign aid has caused more harm than good to the long-term development of Bangladesh. On the other hand, the Leader of the Opposition focused on some short-term relief while the motion is about long-term development. I repeat, not short-term reliefs. The Leader of the Opposition were giving the whole credit of our development to foreign aid, while it's only a small portion of the total development budget, ignoring the roles of the remittance fighters, RNG workers, local NGOs. Secondly, they were mixing up FDI and loan with foreign aid, while our Prime Minister clarified what we mean by foreign aid. Yes, some of them are at concessional rate, what we can consider as foreign aid, but they came up with hard condition in the disguise of soft loans, and our desperation to those aid trapped us in unnecessary debts. Fourthly, they said BRAC is also funded by foreign aid, but only 20 to 30% of the total development budget of BRAC comes from foreign aid. Almost 70% of the fund comes from social enterprises that BRAC operates in our country. Now let me show you how else foreign aid causes more harm than good to the long-term development. I repeat, long-term sustainable development. Firstly, aid comes with agendas being over-dependent on foreign aid instead of building capacity and self-driven development. Bangladesh has been transformed into a vessel for external geopolitical interest rather than a sovereign actor pursuing its own development vision. Honorable Speaker, when the geopolitical interest of donor changes, the prescription changes. For example, after 9/11, donor diverted funds from poverty elevation by 11.6% to counterterrorism campaigns, which is the least of our concern in the reality of our country. While at the same time, foreign aid sidelined our vital priorities like agriculture and food security, health securities, etc. Moreover, major donors often imposes hard and aggressive conditions with aids like imposed subsidy cuts by IMF, aggressive privatization of state-owned institutions, other neoliberal reforms that doesn't really match our socio-economic priorities and national necessities. On the other hand, they weaken our economic integrity, our institutions, and undermine national priorities. At the international level, donors also control our voice on the international platforms. For example, while voting for a international project like China's Belt and Road Initiative or global justice issues like Palestine, our voting pattern changes due to the influence of the Western donors' priorities. So, long-term development demands strategic freedom and diplomatic autonomy, not subjugation, not prescription by others. No so-called development can compensate for this autonomy and strategic freedom. Secondly, foreign aid works like a painkiller
that gives a short-term relief but delays the real treatment. Painkiller is not a treatment. Moreover, they are not certain. Sudden withdrawal or redirection of foreign aid, as I said earlier, leave critical sector exposed, disrupt long-term planning, and destabilize the national development and leaving the country untreated, even after decades, I'll say after a half of the centuries after our liberation. They desensitize our urgency and diverts our government's focus away from building resilience and being self-dependent. For example, our Prime Minister said the pull-off of USAID funds by Donald Trump, and we also can consider the case of Rohingya crisis. By 2023, major donors like UK and European Union cut refugee aid by 40%. This leaves Bangladesh to shoulder the burden of nearly 1 million Rohingya refugees alone. Long-term sustainable development demands sustainability of funding, policy integrity, and self-determination, not vulnerability to the donor's mood swing. Lastly, foreign aid helps the problem persist rather than solving it. Again, we don't deny the foreign aid gives short-term relief, but let me show you a case. World Bank ranked the top 8 dependent countries, considered top 20 aid dependent countries since 1996. Ironically, these countries are still the poorest in the world economy with the lowest per capita income. So, did the receipts of massive foreign aid help them get out of poverty? No, they helped them stay poor and vulnerable. Donor countries.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister. Your time is over. Thank you. Now let me invite Honorable Deputy Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Kazi Jarir Islam.
Honorable Chair, respected judges and members of the House, thanks for the floor. We, the opposition, oppose today's motion and support our leader. At first, I want to answer some of the questions and some of the thoughts the government bench have raised. First of all, aid created dependency. We, the opposition, say aid was a lifeline when Bangladesh was newly independent, but today it is less than 2% of our GDP. That is not dependency, that's the progress. We used to invest to grow and to stand on our own. If aid really created dependency, how do we explain our current development? The solution is simple: keep challenging and aid into the productive sectors like infrastructure, education, technology, so that every taka of aid multiplies into the long-term self-reliance. Long-term development depends on short-term initiatives. Our government was saying about the small portion in our budget. I guess they are in the wrong track. In 1972, after our independence, our whole nation's budget was 75%, which was contributed by the foreign aid alone. I think you are daydreaming. Another question they have used that the aid is misused or we are corrupted. Mismanagement reflects institutional weakness, not foreign aid itself. Despite some inefficiencies, aid eradicated polio, built over 12,000 cyclone shelters, and ensures millions of children receive free textbooks. These benefits cannot be dismissed as corruption, and the solution lies in stronger monitoring, transparency, and accountability, not in rejecting aid's benefit altogether. Another question they were saying about why did it take so long to reduce our dependency on aid. We have cut reliance on foreign aid from 75% of the annual development budget to the less than 10%. Any remaining dependency is not due to aid itself, but stems from internal challenges such as corruption, weak accountability, and governance gaps. Despite these hurdles, Bangladesh is already fast-growing economy in South Asia, showing our resilience and capacity for self-reliance. Dear government, our leader said aid created industries that sustain prosperity, infrastructure, and empowers generation. Imagine Bangladesh just after independence. Our country was shattered, roads broken, schools closed, power plants destroyed, and people were starving. We had almost nothing. In that moment, foreign aid was not just money, it was the lifeline that helped us stand again. It rebuilt our roads and bridges, reopened schools, and brought electricity to homes when we barely had resources to survive. In 1972, our budget was only 8 billion, and nearly 75% came from foreign aid, invested in roads, schools, colleges, and power plants. From those institutions came skilled workforce that fueled our business, entrepreneurship, and industry. Now, in 2025, the foreign aid is just over 11% of our 7.97 trillion budget. The rest comes from our own strength. This is the journey of Bangladesh from dependence to self-reliance. This proves that the foreign aid was once the backbone that held us up. So, I ask the government, can you name a country like Bangladesh after the war started almost nothing and still managed to develop without relying on foreign aid? My dear government, our leader also talked about long-term development through aid. Aid is not just about survival, it builds our future. Many of today's mega projects were funded by the foreign aid. The Metro Rail, Matarbari Deep Sea Port, Rupur Nuclear Power Plant, Padma Bridge Rail Project, and many more. The Metro Rail saves millions of work hours annually. The Padma Bridge Rail projects halves travel time across the country. The Rupur provides stable electricity. Matarbari prepares Bangladesh to be a regional trade and energy hub. Without this project, business wouldn't grow as fast and our economy wouldn't expand so rapidly. Matarbari cost 244 billion, in which 175 billion were from the foreign aid. Dhaka Metro Rail 1 cost about 538 billion, where 400 billion were financed by the foreign aid alone. So I ask the government side a simple question: if foreign aid has given us the very infrastructure that saves our time, boosts our trade, and powers our economy, how can you still claim it has done more harm than good? In Bangladesh, the foreign aid played a crucial role in eradicating polio. International organizations like UNICEF, WHO funded nationwide vaccination campaigns. Millions of children were immunized, preventing outbreaks and saving countless lives. Without this aid, Bangladesh would have struggled to reach such a large population and ensure widespread immunization. Foreign aid has made us strong for our future growth. Honorable judges, the evidence speaks for itself. Our post-independence journey shows aid build the foundation for the self-reliance. The today's mega project shows aid is shaping our future. Foreign aid is not our weakness. It has always been our stepping stone to strength. My question to the government: if Bangladesh did not take foreign aid, what are the other ways by which Bangladesh would have achieved long-term development and sustainable growth, and how?
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Leader of the Opposition. Now I will invite Honorable Government Whip, Mr. Mohaimin Al-Nur.
Honorable Speaker, as a Government Whip, my role today is to crystallize this debate, to weigh the competing claims, and to show you why the government side has convincingly won. Honorable Speaker, the clash point of this debate is not whether foreign aid has ever provided benefits. We accept the visible results, the bridges, the schools, the relief after calamities that they are talking about. But the real clash of this: did foreign aid translate into long-term development for Bangladesh, or has it done more harm than good by locking us into dependency, debt trap, distortion of our development priorities, and weakening of our institutions? Even if we grant every of their short-term gain, the truth remains these benefits did not convert into sustainable progresses. The real breakthroughs, the remittances, the garment industry, the BRAC schools, the public-private partnership projects, and the locally development projects and the innovations came from Bangladesh itself, not from the opponent. Now, before crystallizing, let me briefly reboot the opposition's leftovers. They've talked about metro rails, but they have forgot to mention that these concessional loans are loans. They are debts. We have to repay them. These loans are crossing about more than $100 million US dollars by 2024, but we do not have the capacity to run the costs that are incurring right now. But later on, when will we repay the loans to the aids that are coming as a concessional loans? They are saying these aids are building infrastructures, but most of the aids funded projects come as loans with conditions like and they eventually create debt traps, and the delayed, cancelled, and projects have created corruptions more. And they have also the opponent also claimed about the beginning of the education that we in the current situation, but literacy improved. The literacy improved because of Brachy schools, national curriculum reforms, and the local teachers trainings, not the foreign aids, because these foreign aids are not sustainable. They the organizations deduct them when according to their policies. If this supports their policies. The opposition also highlighted that the crisis reliefs, but in the food in the 80s, the vaccine, flood aid, but we showed that the relief replaced resilience. Food receipts postpones our long-term agricultural reform. Aid projects delayed effective tax reforms, and donor-driven priorities distorted our sustainable development. So, what really reduced the poverty? And build resilience so far. The remittance, and we are saying about the remittance, the governments and the local reforms, not donor inflows. And the hard evidence that as the aid reduced from 10% of the GDP to 2% currently, but we are growing and thriving and accelerating as of now. Honorable Speaker, we have demonstrated the aid compromises our sovereignty and strategic autonomy, and World Bank conditions forced privatizations. In the Rohingya crisis, donors bypassed our government and channeled aid through NGOs, sidelining our national authority. That is not empowerment, that is marginalization. Honorable Speaker, foreign aid has fueled inefficiency. Opposition said aid monitoring ensures accountability. But if that were true, why does Transparency International repeatedly report that 25 to 30% of aid money leaks to corruption? Why do donors themselves suspend projects? Like World Bank suspending projects of our Podda Bridge that we have developed ourselves, and as a result, the whole money is returning to us. Honorable Speaker, as my team has already shown, the counterfactual. What can happen without the foreign aid? But if Bangladesh had not been dependent on foreign aid, we would have built stronger public-private partnerships, more robust taxation through domestic revenue mobilization, and better disaster management system much earlier that would lead us to long-term development. In fact, this is exactly what happened once the aid declined. We founded our own mega projects like Podda Bridge, built our own cyclone shelters, and created policies that outperformed donor-driven ones such as Asuna Foundation and BRAC ones. Honorable Speaker, the opposition wants to convince you that the foreign aid created long-term development. But notice what they have not proven. They cite immunization drives and donor-funded infrastructure. But these are isolated projects and not systematic transformation. Where is the evidence that aid built a self-sustained economy or will do so in the next 50 years? Where is the proof that the aid reduced corruption or reduced our dependence on donors? Honorable Speaker, opposition did not comprehend that today's aid is not free. More than 95% aids come as loans with strings attached. And after 50 years, if we are still begging for more, that is not development, it's dependency disguised as progress. Honorable Speaker, the evidence is clear. After 5 decades, foreign aid has trapped us in a cycle of dependency, indebted our nations, distorted our development priorities, and weakened our institutions. The truth is, poor nations with self-reliance and sustainable policy will rise even without aid. That is the case.
Thank you, Honorable Government Whip, for your arguments in favor of the motion. Now let me invite Honorable Opposition Whip, Mr. Muhammad Imam Salman Bahadur.
Honorable Speaker, respected judges and members of the House, the proposition claims foreign aid has changed Bangladesh's progress, but history and evidence shows the opposite. It has been the wind behind our wings. Allow me to enforce why foreign aid has been a force for good. The government side talks about short term and short metro rail, RMG sector, Jamuna Bridge and Podda Expressway. Is it the short term benefit for us? Not. It's the long term. If you say short term, you are misleading us. Then they said that aid is not free. It imposes rules that makes Bangladesh loser. Honorable Speaker, yes, aid comes with the conditions, but that is not a trap. It is a framework. My conditions focuses on transparency, governance, and accountability, which strengthen our institutions. Rather than making us loser, these rules ensures funds are used effectively regarding waste and building a stronger foundations for national development. Without help, in 1972, Henry Kissinger told us that we are the bottomless bucket. If you cannot put anything in the bottomless bucket. Then, in 1970s, aid came as a food assistance and balance of payment support, preventing famine and stabilizing our currency. we have cut the resilience from foreign aid from 75% to the annual development budget to the less than 9%. Any remaining dependency is not due to the aid itself, but it stems from internal challenges. Then, honorable judges, they said as the material burden because daily maintenance costs are higher. Honorable judges, every mega project begins with this way. Even the Padmavis didn't recover cost overnight. Governance mega projects are not just about the immediate profits. They are built to serve national priorities, cutting travel times, boosting trade, expanding industrialization growth, creating jobs, and stimulating long-term economic growth. So, you know that our GDP to loan ratio is 39 to 40%, and our per capita income is 2,800 nowadays. You know, USA and like Japan, their debt to GDP ratio is 120 to 230. They are. But the problem is our corruption rate is high. Bangladesh is 23rd in the world in corruption rate, while Japan and USA is 71 and 65 respectively. So this shows that where the foreign aid is not the villain here. The villain is our internal policies, corruptions, and the other things. Let me clear that maternity mortality fell from 600 per lakh live births in 1980s to under 165 today. With the UNFPA and donor-funded maternal health programs, tuberculosis treatment backed by Global Fund cured 2.5 million patients across the Bangladesh. Aid for safe water projects increased access to improve drinking water to 98% of households, drastically reducing the cholera and diarrhea disease. So when we talk about harm, the healthier mothers, disease-free children, and safe water really harmful? Yeah, the question is no. And in the ICT sector, aid from World Bank's Leverage ICT program trained over 65,000 youth, directly to contributing to Bangladesh Rise, a global freelancing hub. In renewable energy, donor projects install 6 million solar systems, giving clean lights to the villages long ignored by the national grids. In transport, the Dhaka Metro Rail projects, partly financed by JICA, now reduces traffic congestions for millions daily, savings productivity and environment. And the government talked about dependency. Bangladesh has already proved the otherwise. The 1980s foreign aid made up nearly our almost development budget, but nowadays it's about nearly 3 or 4%. This shows aid has never a permanent charity. It was a ladder we climb and then reduce reliance upon it. And if we haven't aided by the foreign donors, then imagine the Bangladesh: no polio eradication, leaving millions of sufferings; no solar power, leaving villages in the darkness; no roads, leaving farmers cut off their markets. Look at Rwanda, which used aid to rebuild from a genocide into one Africa's fastest growing economies. Bangladesh mirrors this success. Without aid, we would have been stuck in a famine. Then foreign aid did not harm us. It stabilized our economy in crisis, expanded our social safety nets. Growth and hope. We opposition proudly rejects the motions. Foreign aid has done far more good than harm for Bangladesh long-term development. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Honorable Opposition Whip. That ends our constructive round. Now we will move to the rebuttal round. And in the rebuttal round, I will first invite Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Sadman Saqib.
Honorable Speaker, respected judges, ladies and gentlemen, the government says foreign aid trapped Bangladesh, but look around us. Aid has been the bridge that carried out nations from hardship to hope. Think of 1972, children starving, roads broken, schools closed, and families struggled to survive. Aid didn't just give money, it gave life. It built our homes, schools, power plants. Without it, we wouldn't even hear debating today in a self-reliant Bangladesh. Now look at today. Aid helped build industries that employs millions, bridges that connects farmers to market, and hospitals that save lives. It gave vaccines during COVID when fear was everywhere. It brought safe water to village and educates to children who would otherwise have no chance. There are no chains. There are lifelines that touch real people every day. Yes, there are challenges, corruption, cost overruns, or dependency worries, but the solution is better governance, smarter management, and stronger accountability. The problem is never aid itself, it's how we use it. Just like Japan and South Korea once used aid to rise, Bangladesh is already using it to stand taller. Our debt is manageable. Our debt is manageable. The government forget to say Bangladesh's internal debt is over $100 billion as a proof of dependency. But let's remember, Bangladesh has never been a defaulted country. But our economy and standard of living are improving, strengthening our ability to repay. Debt itself is not a trap; it's a tool. What matters is how it is used and whatever it is sustainable. IMF data shows our internal debt to GDP ratio is still below 40%, lower than USA 120%, far below than Japan 235%, yet no one claims they are trapped. Eight share of our business has fallen. 8 shares of our annual budget has fallen over 75% to less than 15%, and yet the benefit remains. That proves aid was a ladder, and we have already climbed it. So I ask again, the vaccine that saves children, the bridges and that connects families, the schools that teaches girls is harmful, or it is hope, progress, and dignity? They also said about the NGOs. They said about different NGOs like BRAC, and they use institutional funds. Where these institutional funds came from? These funds came as foreign aid from institutional companies, from foreign companies. They said about innovation. How can you get the capital? By capital, we mean the support. How can you get the capital as an underdeveloped country? Aid came as the capital that we had. My question to the government is, if Bangladesh did not take foreign aid, what are the other ways by which Bangladesh would have achieved long-term development and sustainable growth?
Thank you.
So I conclude.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Leader of the Opposition. Now let me invite Honorable Prime Minister, Ms. Tasmia Habib.
Well, Honorable Chair, we have already said that foreign aid has provided immediate support, saved lives, feeding children, and funding schools. But I guess the opposition has just mixed foreign aid with foreign investments. Now, my question to the opposition is, still decades after independence, why is Bangladesh still begging for foreign aid whenever floods or famine struck, proving that aid has never built real resilience or self-reliance? The opposition has actually painted foreign aid as a miracle for Bangladesh, reducing child mortality, increasing literacy, and building infrastructure. But these were short-term fixes, but not without the supports of government infrastructure, never sustainable. Aid gave temporary relief, not lasting capacity or long-term development. But let us be very clear, this debate is about long-term development, not temporary handouts. And in the long run, aid has crippled our capacity, created dependency, and left Bangladesh weaker, not stronger. The leader of opposition did not show how can Bangladesh use this foreign aids in the longer term for sustainability. This debate is about long-term development, not short-term crisis relief. The opposition has framed in such a way that assumes aid has been the enabler of Bangladesh's growth. But that takes for granted that foreign aid alone lifted us. In reality, the true credit of our growth lies with remittances, our entrepreneurs, and the resilience of our people, which we have already established. Yes, aid created jobs, but they were often temporary and tied to donor projects. Real sustainable employment came from Bangladesh's garments industry, local entrepreneurship, and small businesses, not short-lived aid programs. Aid builds jobs today, but leaves no long-term skill, capacity, or independence. It is Band-Aid and a temporary fix. Yes, women entered the workforce, but it was Bangladesh's garments industry and local entrepreneurship, not aid handouts that empowered that long term. Aid feeds children temporarily. Once the program ends, the poverty trap, it remains. Aid gave band-aids, it did not give us capacity. Yes, health gains like ORS and vaccines were Bangladesh's innovation. Poverty still persists, despite 83 billion in aid, donor schools and parallel infrastructure, which weakened state capacity, and loans came with strings attached. Aid gave temporary relief but replaced reform with reliance, numbing the pain like a painkiller while leaving the body weak. The opposition has paraded their glossy numbers, but decades of aid never built lasting capacity. Bangladesh remains dependent, indebted, and vulnerable. Real long-term growth came from Bangladeshis, not donor checks. Bangladesh's real achievements came from its own people, not from donor generosity, proving aid has done more harm than good. Now, the silver lining is that poor nations with self-reliance and sustainable policy will rise even without aid, as the case of Botswana, which we have proved, South Korea and Vietnam. And poor nations with bad policy will never rise, no matter how much aid they receive. That is the global foreign aid paradox. Bangladesh's story proves the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister. And that ends our debate here. We have heard a lot of arguments both in favor and against the motion. Before concluding this session, I will now invite two of our honorable judges for this session to share their comments. First, I will invite Ms. Farha Mezabin. She is former Joint Secretary, Jahangirnagar University Debating Society.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everybody. It was a wonderful debate, first of all. So congratulations to both of the team. Here to both of the teams. Since we are here to comment on however the debate was, starting from the briefing, let me tell you 4 important lineups that were really necessary for today's debate, okay? If you, any 8 of you, should we stop for the Ajan? Okay. Right, thank you so much for waiting. I will resume from where I stopped, okay? I talked about 4 different terms that were really necessary for today's debate to differentiate for both of the teams. The first term is donation. The second term is aid. The third term is investment. And the fourth term is contractual relationship. All of these terms are really different. The problem, the first problem in today's house of today's debate was that both of the teams really mixed up the terms. Donation is where the foreign countries or the local agencies do not ask anything for return. That is donation. So there is no condition attached to it. Aid is only happens when there is an extreme situation. You guys talked about Rohingya crisis. That happened way long ago. There were so many recent situations as well. We talk about COVID-19. We talk about July movement. And since we are talking about long-term sustainable development, that carries out the future as well. So if it is about future, you can also bring out some really reasonable hypothetical situation. Because we all know about this Cold War between China and USA, which might indicate that a World War III might happen. So if that happens in that extreme situation, will Bangladesh receive the aid or not, first of all? Secondly, does a country like Bangladesh need an aid in that situation, that extreme situation or not? That is also really important and should have been brought to today's house. Thirdly, I talked about investment. Now, investment is the part where the foreign countries, or let's say World Bank, UNICEF, UN, or any other non-financial institutions, they put on conditions or agenda. And that is how kind of one country gets into the system of another country. For example, if China, since has a lot of aids to our country, then obviously China may inflict in the business or the economic situation of our country. And the lastly is the contractual relationship, where and only where the mutual benefit happens. We call it synergy or economic synergy. So let's not try to mix up all of these situations and make the debate a bit more vague. And that was the only problem I could find in today's definitions and not arguing the rebuttals, all of that. More mechanisms and more linkage between your arguments were really necessary. For example, some of the one-liners really stood in the house because the other team did not engage as much. This has been quite, for me, we'll talk later, but for me it has been an issue as well. So that's all about it. I'll keep it shortened. Thank you so much, and thank you for the debate. Congratulations to the team who will break into the next round, and still congratulations to the team who will not make it. Thank you.
Thank you, Farah. Now I will invite Honorable Sakma to share your comments in 1-2 minutes.
Okay, since I was requested to make it brief, I would be very specific. Team government, you are saying that the aids that are being given to us also have some kind of strings, right? So my question is that what are the strings? How does this impact our economy? What were the factors or sectors where could have been impacted or could have been useful here? I don't know. So when you are debating in the semi-final round, I expect you to complete this analysis so that in order to understand or to be able to understand your case. So when you are not being clear, I'm not sure what kind of permanent solution is that you are trying to give. And as for opposition, I'm kind of in a mixed bag reaction here, because you are saying that the aid has enabled us to build like projects like Podda Bridge. I'm supposed to be flexible on these sides that I'm not supposed to be very strict. However, when you are giving examples that are kind of like the sunsets in the east, so these are kind of examples that you are setting. So it is hard for me to believe the precedents that you are setting here. And for example, you are saying that Rupur nuclear project was kind of a foreign aid. But is that really true? I'm kind of in a mixed bag here, that whether you are trying to say about foreign aid, or are you trying to imply here the investments or the partnerships or the actual loans. So yes, we will take your questions later, but whenever you are trying to argue about foreign aid, you have to say about the extreme scenarios, like Farha said, you know, about the Rohingya situations, about the Ukraine situation. So the majority of your discussions were based on that, I am building this project, I am building that project. To some extent, it is true that aid is an umbrella term. It can be also a loan or some kind of project investment. However, you did not directly or indirectly emphasis on the part that aid is going to these extreme situations and it is necessary to be given here. If you have questions, I would like to interact with you after the ballot is given, as I am being constantly reminded that we have very much short time. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you. Thank you to the team. Thank you to the audiences. That's the end of the session today. Wish you best of luck for both the teams. Thank you.
Welcome back once again. Hope to have great enjoyment till now. Excellent debate we have enjoyed between Mahmoud Shabujan Kong and Eknabin Chartered Accountants. Eknabin was in the government side and Mahmoud Shabujan Kong was in opposition. Topic was, this house believes that foreign aid has done more harm than good to Bangladesh long-term development. Excellent, excellent topic and very, very good performance we have enjoyed from both of the team. Thank you and congratulations to both team. Really, we have enjoyed a lot to your debate. Okay, now another grand semi-final is coming between Islam Aftab, Kamrul and Kong in the government side and Rahman Haq, Team 1 in the opposition side. Here the topic will be, this house believes that microfinance institutions have trapped more people in debt than they have helped. Very, very fantastic and exciting topic and we'll enjoy a lot, inshallah. Thank you and congratulations both Islam Aftab, Kamrul and Kong and Rahman Haq in advance. Now, within a very short time, we will start the second semi-final. The judges are working on the last completed debate for assessment purpose only. We will start the second one very soon. Okay, before starting the second one, I would like to hear from now I would like to hear from our Honorable FCA, our very, very beloved brother, Mr. Probir. FCA, please, Dada, please come on to the dais. Dada, please, how have you enjoyed till now our semi-final? Please, have a comment on this, please.
Thank you, Rashidul, for giving me the floor. I'm very much excited to participate as a viewer for such a grand program today. So everything is okay. I'm very much delighted to see this. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you, Dada. We are also delighted to have you, and honorable guest. Thank you very much for being here and make us proud till now. Okay, stay with us till the finishing, and hope to have a great enjoyment till the end of this session, inshallah. Thank you very much. স্টেবল ভাই মোশন নতুন মোশন দেয়া আছে মোশন দেয়া আছে Welcome back once again. I would like to request both team to be on dais. Islam Aftab Kamrul and Kong versus Rahman Haq, team 1. Both team please come on to the dais and have a seat. We'll start the second semi-final within a very short time. Please come on to the dais. In the second semi-final, the topic will be, this house believes that microfinance institutions have to have more people in debt than they help. Very, very interesting and exciting topic it will be. On the government side, Islam, Aftab Kamrul and Kong, and the right side. The opposition, Rahman Haq in the left hand side. The judges are there and set to go. Should we go now? Twenty-four teams have participated in DRC-ICAB Interfarm Debate Championships Season 2, and all have done very, very good till now. The 4 teams have qualified for semi-final, and they have shown tremendous performance till now and deserve to be congratulated. We must congratulate each and every one of you. Okay, now not taking much time and ending from my end. Okay, requesting the honorable judges to start and handing over the microphone to the honorable judges. To Nasir Bhai FCA, please, Nasir Bhai, please continue from your end. I'm leaving now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rashidul. Welcome everyone. This is our second session of semi-final. Before starting our main session, let me tell you the housekeeping rules, which you already know. We will have 2 sessions, 2 rounds. One is constructive round and another is rebuttal. In the constructive round, you will have 5 minutes each, and within these 5 minutes, you will get warning at the end of minute 1, minute 4 and minute 5. So 1, 4, 5, you will get warning, and after 5 minutes you have to end your speech within max 5 to 10 seconds. Anything you place as a new argument after 5 minutes will not be counted at all. So keep in mind. And in the rebuttal round you will have 3 minutes, and you will have warnings at the end of each of the minutes in the rebuttal round. That means after 1 minute, then after 2 minutes, and then again after 3 minutes. When one speaker speaks, you can have from opposite side. In that case, you can have your question by raising your hand. You have to ask the question, and you can ask the question only if the speaker allows you to ask the question. Okay. And at the time when you will ask the question, the time will be paused for that time, for that moment. And the maximum time that you can ask for the question is only 15 seconds. Okay. So if you want to ask a question, I mean the speaker allows you to ask the question, you will have only 15 seconds to ask the question. So that's the housekeeping rules. Do you have any question? Everything clear, right? Okay, let's start. Today's motion is, this House believes that microfinance institutions have trapped more people in debt than they have helped. Now I will invite from government side, Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. S.M. Mahmudul Hassan.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in the 1970s and 80s, microfinance emerged as a beacon of hope, championed by figures like Muhammad Yunus. It emerged as a solution to poverty. The idea was simple and powerful. Provide a small loan to a woman to buy a sewing machine and she could start a business, lift her family out of poverty. Honorable Speaker, but behind the glossy brochures lies the harsh truth. Microfinance has not freed people from poverty. It has shackled them with debt. It was a radical departure from the traditional charity, Honorable Speaker. Today we are here to debate its reality. The promise was a ladder out of poverty, Honorable Speaker, but that ladder has turned into a trap. What began as a movement of empowerment over decades transformed into an industry of exploitation because of the commercialization of it, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, before I dive more into my debate, I want to clarify our motion first. Microfinance institution referred to organizations that provide small loans, usually without collateral, to low-income individuals, often in rural and underbanked areas. To be trapped in debt means a cycle where borrowers face unsustainable repayments, multiple overlapping loans, and harsh collection practices that prevent them from escaping poverty. Honorable Speaker, the debate is not about the ideal theory of microfinance, but about its real-world impact across the developing world. The key question is, has microfinance actually delivered more prosperity, or has it pushed the poor into more financial insecurity, Honorable Speaker? We on the government's bench argue that the harm far outweighs the benefit, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, our duty as the government side is very clear. We must see the crisis not as a minor flaw, but as a fundamental systematic failure. Honorable Speaker, the context we must understand tonight is not the glossy brochure from a fancy conference. It is the story written in the ledgers of a rural village, in the anxiety of a woman who cannot sleep, in the desperation of a family selling its last assets to repay a loan that never should have been given in the first place, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, our first and core argument is this: microfinance institution trap people not because of a few bad cases, but because the very mechanism of microfinance is flawed. We have some great arguments to show you. First, look at the borrowers, Honorable Speaker. Microfinance targets the poorest, often women, unskilled, with irregular daily incomes. They don't have stable businesses or predictable cash flows. Evidence from India and Bangladesh shows that many loans are not used for productive investment, but for food, medicine, and emergencies. When a family is borrowing to survive, repayment is already a problem, Honorable Speaker. Then the vision of MFIs or microfinance institution is misguided. The promise is empowerment and entrepreneurship, Honorable Speaker. But poverty is not just a lack of credit. It is lack of skills, infrastructure, and market access, Honorable Speaker. Rigorous evidence such as 2015 randomized control trial in Hyderabad done by world-famous economists Banerjee and Duflo found that microcredit created no significant increase in average household income. Why? Because giving an unskilled person a loan to sell eggs in a market full of egg sellers doesn't create wealth, Honorable Speaker. It just creates more competition for subsistence level earnings, Honorable Speaker. The model fundamentally misunderstands poverty, assuming the poor need capital when they need safety nets, stable jobs, or skill training, Honorable Speaker. Loans without capacity are loans to fail. Then, the cost of borrowing is crushing, Honorable Speaker. It is an extraction disguised as opportunity. The wrong vision plus high interest rate, an impossible equation. Even if a borrower could generate a small profit, Honorable Speaker, the math simply does not work. The consultative group to assess the poor at the World Bank reports a global median effective interest rate of 26.9%, sometimes more once you add fees, Honorable Speaker. What small-scale survivalist business run by an unskilled borrower can consistently generate returns exceeding 27% to cover both interest and principal? The answer is almost none, Honorable Speaker. This high cost of capital is not an oversight. It's a profit motive disguised as charity. Then, the repayment rules makes it even worse. Borrowers must pay weekly on a rigid schedule, regardless of when their income arrives, Honorable Speaker. High interest rate plus rigid weekly payments, the debt trap engine. This is the most mechanically cruel part of the design, Honorable Speaker. Imagine a farmer whose harvest comes once or twice a year, yet he is forced to repay every week. Add group liability, where default means public shame or harassment in front of neighbors, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this rigid schedule of payment creates a relentless pressure that forces families to choose between repaying the loan and meeting basic needs like food or machine. When an inevitable shock occurs, let's say a sick child, a bad harvest, a death in the family, the borrower cannot pay. Their only option is to borrow from another MFI or a loan shark to cover the first loan, initiating a vicious cycle of debt, Honorable Speaker. The very institution that promised empowerment have created a system where the poor are working not for themselves, but for the MFIs, Honorable Speaker. Finally, the institution themselves push this trap. Many MFIs have commercialized raising money from investors, even going public, that shifts priorities from poverty reduction to portfolio growth and repayment rates. Honorable Speaker, I want to ask a question to my opposition. If core promise of microfinance is entrepreneurship, why is the model designed with rigid weekly repayments that begin almost immediately? I hope you'll answer it. I hope you answer it. So, Honorable Speaker, put it all together. Poor and unskilled borrowers pushed into loans they cannot productively use, charged about 30% interest, forced to repay weekly under public pressure, trapped in cycles of multiple borrowing, all while institutions chase profits. This is not empowerment. This is a mechanism of debt entrapment, which is what has been fluently done by microfinance institutions.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister, for your arguments in favor of the motion. Now I will invite Honorable Leader of the Opposition. Do you want any 1 minute strategic timeout? Okay. Count 1 minute. Let me now invite Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Muhammad Fakhruddin Al-Razi.
So, Honorable Speaker, the motion is microfinance institution or MFI have trapped more people in debt than they have helped. So, we on the contrary are against the motion and says that because it's based on fundamental misreading of scale and willful blindness to the daily realities of the world's working poor. We need to understand who are the stakeholders of this microfinance. So, there are rural marginalized poor people, daily wage workers, especially women. Think about a woman who is widowed, doesn't have a husband, or husband who doesn't provide for the family, or a family where only earning person is sick or died, or family doesn't have other member to go to the city to find works. The people who doesn't have any saving, who doesn't have any insurance, who doesn't have any collateral. So also live in high vulnerability where a medical bill, a crop failure, or a school fee can push them into crisis. And we need to understand that they are excluded from banks because they have lack of collateral or don't have any credit history. So for them, the alternative is in comfort. It's a local money lender who charges more than the microfinance institution, which is about 100 to 200%. And the coercive taxes that keep people, families in generational debt. Microfinance institution steps in here not as a predator, but as the only formal regulated lifeline available. So when the government says trap, we must ask compared to what? Compared to nothing, or compared to the truly coercive traps of informal lending market? We also need to understand that the principle, inherent risk principle, there is no such principle as zero harm. No institution that is designed that to operate without risk or without zero harm. So so we, on the contrary, we will prove that that while harm exists, the net positive impact far exceeds the tragic exceptions. The opposition also defined the microfinance on their term by saying only just giving loan. But when you understand the microfinance institution, an essential piece of infrastructure, it includes saving accounts, insurance, financial literacy training, and community supports. This is only holistic financial vehicle designed for world poorest. Also, by the help, we understand, we just don't understand by profit or quick cash. Rather, we understand financial dignity, social capital, resilience, the freedom of choose, and inclusive access, giving women economic recognition to raise their status. Also, by the debt, they understand the debt cycle or overlapping loan. But you need to understand the word trap. The trap words need some elements such as predatory intent, force, coercion, inducement, and structurally inescapable system. And it's a burden for the government to prove that MFI structurally and intentionally working as a debt trap, not merely that some cases of failure exist. Also, we want to put some question that government must answer if they want to win this debate. They need to show the statistics showing that they need to prove that statistically that majority is harmed than beneficial. What is the single global study proving that number of the people harmed is statistically greater than the millions who successfully use their loans to buy cow, a loan, send a child or to a child to school? Also, they need to answer that if they think the microfinance institutions are wrong, then what is the better alternative at larger scale here? Also, if this borrower can choose to take microloan, refuse it, or repay it at manageable rates, how this is a trap? How can the government prove cohesion exists in the system? Also, they started with arguments such as cycle of debt or multiple borrowings. Debt cycling happens when a borrower faces an unpredictable crisis, such as sudden medical emergency or devastating crop failure. We need to understand MFI comes here as the first defense. They protect the assets from getting sold. It will be used in future and keep the earning for the people and keep the providing for the family. Also, the global repayment rate consistently over 95% at institutions like Grameen Bank proves the vast majority of the loans are used productively. Even according to World Bank, it's about 10% of the people who get out of poverty every year. Also, they use the argument of high and unregulated interest rate. The government attacks the interest rate, but they ignore the answer of why. The rates are not driven by greed. They are necessary reflection of high operational cost of serving the poor, the cost of door-to-door service, training in remote areas. Studies shows that 60% of the interest rate directly cover this cost, not profit. We need to answer that. We need to see that they are saying it high comparing to what? Compared to conventional banking. But the poor don't have access to conventional banking. They must get to the local loan lender who charges 100 to 200%. So according to this, these rates are low. Also, they have pointed out the unrealistic repayment schedule, which is not realistic because the microfinance institution changes according to the need. So we are here today to put some statement, to put some argument that why we are against the motion. Firstly, debt is a proven tool, not a trap. It gives empowerment to poor, especially the women, and restructure the broken society and leading as a counterbalance to capitalism. Microfinance provide access where conventional banking fails. Also, at fourth, what we say is microfinance institution has multiplier effect on local economies, and it's more than microcredit. They build a development ecosystem where the money rotates. Also, let's begin with the first argument. What we say, debt itself is not a trap. It's a universal tool for growth. Microfinance simply extend this tool to those who were historically excluded. Global evidence shows it works. Also, we need to understand that in governments, corporation, every class of people use loans to develop their economic status, build homes and business, etc. So, Honorable Speaker, we need to understand that.
Thank you.
Speaker, let me finish within 15 seconds. The proposition wants to see MFI as a trap, but the real trap was poverty without credit banks that exclude the money lender that exploited. Microfinance has given the poor, not the
Thank you. Thank you, Leader of the Opposition. Thank you. Now I will invite Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, Mr. Junaidul Haq Sajid.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for handing me the floor. Speaker, as a Deputy Prime Minister, I will reinforce the case that already explained by my Prime Minister. Speaker, my Prime Minister explained how the system of microfinance itself is broken, Speaker. Actually, the microfinance gives the loans to the poorest peoples. Those are unskilled, those are illiterate, and those are haven't steady income. Speaker, and then the demands huge interest rate, so almost 24 to 40% interest rate with rigid repayment schedule on Speaker. Speaker, and then they use the pressure, social pressure, and group pressure, and sometimes the physical shame to enforce the repayments on Speaker. Speaker, the very design is very clear. The borrower's profile, the product design, the enforcement, and the MFI's incentive, MFI's profit maximization tendency itself actually produces the debt cycle on Speaker. It's not unpredictable on Speaker. It's predictable on Speaker. Speaker, I have a big question to my oppositions because they are saying that my MFIs are empowering people's MSIs are reducing the poverty. My question is how actually MFI is reducing the poverty? By imposing 24 to 40% interest on them. Those on the peoples, those are hand to mouth on Speaker. Speaker, I think we demand the answer from my opposition on Speaker. Speaker, this is not actually empowerment on Speaker. This is a machine that looks like kinds, but it pushes the poor into deeper depth on speaker. On speaker, let's look at the big picture on speaker, the scale and the directions of microfinance effects on speaker. Microfinance barometer, globally around 140 million people are microfinance borrowers. And in Bangladesh, the birthplace of microfinance, almost 30 million people are microfinance borrowers. Almost 1/5 people of Bangladesh are microfinance borrowers. It's a massive. But what we expect, if microfinance are truly working, we should expect to see millions of families breaking free from the poverty on speaker. But what we see today, after 4 decades of microfinance operations in Bangladesh, the driver of poverty reductions has not been reducted by the microfinance. It's reducted by remittance, it's reducted by industrial growth on speaker, especially in the garment sector on speaker. To World Bank 2014 review that the long-term impact of microfinance on poverty reduction is very low on speaker. According to the Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics, Borishal is the division where highest number of poor people stay. But the 1,500 plus branches are operating Borishal on speaker. So what we see, microfinance actually has scales, but on speaker, microfinance has no success on speaker. On speaker, now I clear how microfinance has trapped people on speaker. The loans are loans are actually used for the survivals, not for the business, not for the income generation speaker. CGAP shows that the large share of microfinance are using for the basic needs, fulfill the basic needs, foods, medicine, and emergency on speaker. On speaker, you cannot plan to start a poultry farm when your child is hungry on speaker. On speaker, poverty is immediate, and the survivals always comes first on speaker. On speaker, here lies the trap actually. Survival expense doesn't generate any income, and the people if spends loan on food, they actually have nothing for repay the repayments actually on the speaker. Where people are already unstable income, they haven't bear the 24 to 40% interest. They must actually make a new loans to repay the old one on the speaker. On speaker, according to the Times of India report 2016 shows that 60% of repayments are made using new loans, not from the business profit. And CGPA further shows that 1/3 of borrowers have multiple loans on the speaker. So family end up with trapped, and they borrow today to fulfill the basic needs and borrow tomorrow for the repayments on the speaker. This is how the people are being trapped on the speaker. On speaker, microfinance actually born to poverty reductions. But what we see, actually they are going very far from their dream, from their dream actually. That dream has already changed. Many microfinance institutions have moved away from the product reactions. They are already listed in stock markets, and they are already collecting millions of funds for their business. And the focus is no longer in poverty reductions. It is for repayments rates. It is for portfolio growth. It is for ROI, return on investment on a speaker. On speaker, the example, SKS Microfinance in India is the perfect example. When SKS gone to IPO, when the SKS gone to IPO and went public, they increase the pressure for collecting their money, and the loan officer are forced to chase the repayments on speaker, and whole communities are suffered. On speaker, when the interest rate is 22 annually and bank is providing 12%, so we see that people are suffering on speaker. So the choice is clear. Microfinance is trap people, not help. Thank you, all speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, for your arguments in favor of the motion. Now let me invite Honorable Deputy Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Qazi Abul Bashar Nafi.
Thank you for giving me the floor. Honorable Chair, esteemed members of the House, the government wants you to believe that microfinance institutions are traps that push people further into debt. But think about this. If MFIs really cause more harm than good, why do millions of people in over 120 countries continue to seek their support? Why do repayment rates stay above 90% year after year? And why would the United Nations and World Bank continue to partner with MFIs? And why hasn't the model collapsed under its own weight? The answer is simple. A trap collapses, but a tool empowers. Microfinance institutions have not just survived, they have have grown, reached millions, and changed lives. Now, before I extend our case, let us examine the government's claim. The government mentioned that microfinance institutions charge high interest rates. While this is partially true, they charge far less than local lenders. MFIs have high operational and administrative costs. Their clients are marginalized people that mainly live in rural or remote areas. In order to reach them, MFIs must employ field officers that have to travel long distances, go to remote places, not just to provide microcredit, but also to collect them. And they also provide financial literacy training and much more. The inherent costs of these facilities are immense, and hence, in order to sustain and continue to provide the services to improve the lives of these people, MFIs charge high interest rates. Now, what are the alternatives? There are local money lenders who demand an effective annual interest rates of 120 to 150% per year, sometimes backed by threats and violence. And commercial banks have already shut their door in the faces of these marginalized people. So MFIs are not just better alternatives, it is the only viable option that is logical and fair for these marginalized people. They mentioned the government paints multiple borrowing as a trap, but rural households see it differently. One loan may go for seeds, another for livestock, another for school fees. This is not reckless debt. This is income smoothing and risk diversification. Strategies that help families survive in uncertain economies. If this were truly a spiral of doom, repayment rates would collapse. Instead, they remain remarkably high. Why? Because families understand that these loans are lifelines, not traps. The idea that microfinance loans fails because they are sometimes used for other purposes is an unrealistic oversimplification of poverty. In reality, survival and social obligations are central to economic life for the poor. A 2016 World Bank study showed that nearly 70% of low-income households face unexpected shocks annually, and without credit, they are forced to sell their assets, pull children out of school, or fall back on moneylenders that charge very high interest rates. So when a loan helps pay for school fees or medical care, it is not unproductive. It is a lifeline that prevents deeper poverty. For example, in rural Bangladesh, microfinance clients who used loans for healthcare were found to have 20% higher productivity the following year because the breadwinner could return to work. Similarly, loans used for school fees build long-term returns through education. Education is one of the major factors that can uplift an entire family from generational poverty. If borrowers were recklessly misusing loans, default would skyrocket. Instead, the opposite is true. Loans are managed responsibly because households understand their value. Now, let me extend our case. Our leader of opposition has already demonstrated microfinance institutions are not traps. They are instruments of empowerment, inclusion, and development. I will now elaborate on each of the core arguments and show how MFIs help people more. Our first argument states that debt is not a trap, it is a tool. Debt itself is neutral. It is neither inherently good nor bad. What matters is how it is used. Consider Grameen Bank. It reports repayment rates above 96% even among borrowers with no collateral or formal employment. These numbers demonstrate that most borrowers can use debt responsibly to improve their lives. Without microfinance, millions of poor families will have no access to formal loans at all. They would otherwise be trapped in informal lending systems where they are exploited by local money lenders. Microfinance converts debt into an instrument of opportunity rather than mechanism of entrapment. Our second argument refers to microfinance as a counterbalance to capitalism. The government represents microfinance as exploitative, yet it is in fact a corrective to the inequalities of traditional capitalism. In most economies, wealth and resources are concentrated at the top. Millions of marginalized people are excluded from banks and formal credit. Microfinance institutions challenges this by putting capital directly to the hands of these marginalized families. For example, 97% of borrowers of Grameen Bank are women who were historically ignored by formal banking institutions. Because of access to microcredit, these women started small businesses, were able to send their children to school and gain independence. MFIs are redistributing financial power, giving people the tools to break cycles of poverty that capitalism itself often perpetuates. Our final argument states that beyond microcredit, MFIs are also helping in the development of rural economy. MFIs offer more than just lending. Most MFIs offer saving programs, in insurance, vocational training, and social services that strengthen communities and reduce vulnerability to shocks. For example, BRAC is one of the largest MFIs in the world. Over 50% of its annual budget goes into schools, health clinic, and skill development programs. These interventions allow families to survive illness, invest in education, and improve livelihoods. Microfinance is therefore not merely about loans, it is about development in rural economy that empowers communities. In Bangladesh alone, MFIs directly employs more than 200 people.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Leader of the Opposition, for your arguments against the motion. Now let me invite Honorable Government Whip, Ms. Maliha Anjum Mouri.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, the opposition has painted a picture of microfinance as a magical solution of poverty. They have spoken about empowerment, they have spoken about opportunity, but their arguments are built on unrealistic ideals, not on the harsh realities faced by millions of borrowers. And my role today is to expose the flaws in their relative and summarize our unshakable case and show you why the government team is clearly winning this debate today. Honorable Speaker, they talked about collateral several times, but though the loans are given without collateral, but the repayment system is creating pressure and humiliation, and the harsh consequences will be portrayed by me with some statisticals and real incidents. Honorable Speaker, in Bangladesh, reports from BRAC and Grameen borrowers show that loan officers practice public shaming. Women are humiliated in front of neighbors, and sometimes officers even sit before the borrower's door until the repayment is made. The field officers themselves are pressurized because if they fail to collect, they will lose their bonus and they will lose their salaries. So they push the borrowers harder. Honorable Speaker, our opposition has talked about success rate, but I want to show you about an article which is recently published on bdnews24.com. It was published on 16th August 2025, and it stated that a man who was poor and hardworking, Binarul Islam, lived in a village in Rajshahi. He did any job, like farming, day labor, or bus conductor, just to feed his wife and 2 children. And to survive, he took loans from the microfinance institution. He believed their promises for a better life, but the loan did not help. The interest rate was too high, and the weekly payment were too heavy for his small and irregular income. He became trapped. He took another loan just to pay the previous loan. And the pressure from the loan officers was constant. And he felt shame and despair. And one day suffering became so much that Minarul Islam took his lives of his wife and his 2 children, and then he took his own life. Before he died, he wrote a note, and it said that we are dying because of debt and hunger. We cannot bear the pain anymore. Honorable Speaker, this is not just a single sad story. It represents the story of thousands in our country. Studies shows that over 70% of families in villages are connected with microloans, and they are drowning in debt. Honorable Speaker, the opposition talked about women empowerment. I want to show you another example of a Sri Lankan woman who has 5 children, and she wanted a better life, and that's why he took a loan from microfinance institutions for a small business selling mats. But then the rain came, she couldn't work, she fell behind her $30 monthly payment. What happened next? The loan officers came to her house and threatened her continuously. She felt so much pain, so much shame that she saw no way out. While she was 5 months pregnant, she tried to end her life, and she poured kerosene on herself and lit the flame. Honorable Speaker, even in the hospital bed, the loan officers came to demand their money. And Honorable Speaker, this is the true face of a system that values money more than the human life. Honorable Speaker, according to India's government reports, in Andhra Pradesh alone, over 200 suicides are linked directly to microfinance debt crisis in 2010. Honorable Speaker, our opponent talked about the uncertainty and uncertainty, and Honorable Speaker, there is no debt relief system. If someone truly cannot pay the loan because of poverty or illness or an accident, there is no clear government safety net for them. So there is no escape from the trap. Honorable Speaker, our opposition has talked about that microfinance is lifting people out of poverty. But what if the price of that lifting is your own body part? A recent investigation by BBC has uncovered a terrifying truth that to repay the microfinance loan, many poor people are being forced to sell their organs to pay the microfinance loan. So the system that is created to fight poverty is now so brutal that it asks for flesh and blood for repayment. Honorable Speaker, even the founder of microfinance himself, Dr. Mohammad Yunus, recently in an interview said that he is deeply worried about how microfinance has been distorted. He said that when the focus shifts from helping people to making profit, the intermission is lost. He specifically criticized the high interest rate and the pressure put on borrowers. These are the exact point we have been talking.
Man who invented the idea is now standing up and saying this is not the idea what I intended. This is harming people. We should accept this motion. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you all.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you, Honorable Government Whip, for your arguments in favor of the motion. Now I will invite Honorable Opposition Whip, Mr. Iftekhar Ahmed Saad. Hello.
Okay. Respected members of the House, we here as opposition stand by our stance to reject the motion that is in question. First of all, let me start off by addressing some of the points that the opposition whip has, the government whip has actually put forth. Let me start with Andhra Pradesh. The story of Andhra Pradesh is that this was a crisis that unfolded almost 15 years ago in just one Indian state out of 28. It arose from overlending by certain local MFIs and weak regulation at the time in that particular state. In other words, it was not a flaw of all MFIs worldwide, or it was actually a case of mismanagement in a very specific region. After that incident, India and many other countries introduced stronger regulation, client protection frameworks, and interest rate caps, which MFIs actually adopted. MFIs reformed and became more responsible. This is how industries evolve. They face setbacks, fix them, and emerge stronger. And here's the proof. Today, MFIs have expanded to more than 120 countries, reaching over 140 million active borrowers worldwide. The government has painted MFIs as a monster that creates debt traps for the poor. They have shared stories of suffering, but they are making a critical mistake. They are trying to convince us to form a decisive opinion about an entire global system by its worst moments, while ignoring its best. They focus on the few who stumble and ask you to ignore the millions who are climbing. My job here is to bring us back to the full story, the story of evidence, scale, and real human progress. The government's case stands on primarily 3 pillars, and each one is weak. First of all, let's come to interest rates. They call them high, but we ask, compared to what? Compared to the conventional bank that won't touch these poor people? No. The only alternative that these poor people have is the loan shark at their villages, who charges more than 120% per year. Our rates reflect that the real cost of reaching the unreachable. This is not a trap. It's the piece of inclusion, the cost of access to capital and opportunity. Repayment. They also talk about repayment rates. They say high repayment rates shows pressure of circular borrowing or loan cycling or whatever you call it. But for over 40 years, institutions like Grameen Bank have maintained their high and over 90% repayment rate that they have. You cannot sustain 40 years of success through coercion or loan recycling. There has to be something there. This is the sound of success. This is the sound of people running businesses, sending their children to school. This is a sound of people improving their lives, not fear. They also complain about commercialization of microfinance. They say that profit betrays the mission. The government is actually confusing commitment to sustainability with greed. But what is the, even if that were the case, even if microfinance institutions had prioritized profit, what is the alternative to these poor people? The banks have ghosted poor people for decades. They promised microfinance facilities, but those facilities never arrived. MFIs are the only system that actually show up to these people. The solution to poor practices is better regulation, better oversight, not no microfinance institutions at all. Honorable members of the House, let's try to weigh harms versus benefits across the population and evaluate causality. Let's assess the reversibility and decide whether the government has proved that the net effect of MFIs is negative. They fail on all of these counts, by the way. First off, let's talk about the burden of proof. The government must prove that microfinance as a whole causes a net negative impact. They have offered moving anecdotes and localized isolated incidents, but these anecdotes do not meet the burden required to condemn an entire sector that serves tens of millions of people. Let's also talk about scale and impact. Microfinance reaches over more than 40 million people in Bangladesh alone and hundreds of millions globally. Let's also talk about the magnitude and reversibility. The gains from microfinance, which are higher consumption, durable assets, businesses flourishing, and better shock absorption by families, are long-lasting. The harms that the government cites, by contrast, are largely reversible through regulation. Let's weigh on the scales. On one side, the government places stories of failure, while we acknowledge and learn from that we acknowledge and learn from. On the other side, the evidence is overwhelming. In Bangladesh alone, MFIs serve 46 million people, more than 90% of who are women. The opposition see cracks in the ladder. We see millions climbing it. MFIs do more good than harm. They are a ladder, not a trap. So we strongly oppose the motion and stand our ground.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Opposition Whip, for your arguments against the motion. That ends our constructive round. Now we will move to the rebuttal round. And in this round, I will first invite Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Sorry, it's someone else. The opposition? Someone, another team member, right? Member of the House. Okay, sorry. The name is someone else. That's why confused. Okay. So let me invite Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Mohammad Fakhruddin Al-Razi.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, let me start with one of the point that he started with the targeting the poor. We need to understand that they said that they are targeting only the poor who doesn't have money to repay. Also, that's the actual mission of the microfinance institution. They are targeting the poor to make them stable, to reduce the gap that in the society, where the richer are getting richer, or poor are getting poor. That's actually the mission, to reduce the gap. Also, they stated that they asked that how the microfinance institution reducing the poverty. We need to understand that they are reducing poverty through giving you a capital to start something of your own, to start such as with 10 hands, not just providing your children. Rather than start with the 10 hands, it will multiply by within years, and you will make the repayment, and you will also provide your family. Also, they said that 100 million people, 140 million people are in debt trap. We need to understand that initially it wasn't 140 million people. This grows to this level just because they are getting the benefit. They can repay the amount, and they are actually developing their own life. Also, they said that people use the loan for the regular use. We need to understand that sometimes using the regular use can benefit in future, such as when the main earning person of the family in the debt bed or need a medical cure of some cost, the microfinance institution give it and make you unable to earn more in the future. Also, if they said that conventional banking are also harmful. So are we all in a debt trap? Are we making false in that way? Also, they are saying that coercive pressure or through grouping model, people are repaying the amount. We need to understand how they are supposed to collect the amount paid to the poor, and how they are supposed to ensure that the amount is collected and get to the other people also. Also, they said that the use of the loan is totally dependent. They need to understand that the use of the loan is totally dependent on the user, not on the microfinance institution. Also, where the microfinance institution give you understanding how to invest the money and how to repay. If the person don't follow the rules, it's not on the microfinance institution. Also, we are not telling it's only tool. Rather, where the government cannot get it, where other institution cannot make poor people help, it's the only way, a formal way to help people to grow something. Also, the government didn't answer what are the majority. They didn't show any clear statistics. Also, they didn't show the better alternative of microfinance institution. Also, they didn't answer how it's coercive. Are the microfinance institution forcing them to take the loan? They didn't answer all this question. So, Honorable Speaker, we need to understand the story that where before MFI, society saw women as just financial burden, where they could not do much thing to support their family. This low value led to massive harm, such as their boys were ignored, worst cases like early marriage, just to shift the liability away. Microfinance institution shattered this trap. It makes women the one who holds the capital, her ability to repay the loan. So overall, through this session, so Honorable Speaker, we are against the motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Leader of the Opposition, for your reply. Now I will invite Honorable Prime Minister for to reply, Mr. S.M. Mahmudul Hassan.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor again. I have heard their debate. Some of their questions have already been answered by our members, but I want to go one by one again. They have said that these loans are disbursed without collateral. Honorable Speaker, borrowers may not mortgage land, but they often lose dignity, mental peace, and even their lives in extreme cases. Instead of physical collateral, MFIs create psychological and social collateral. Honorable Speaker, they have said multiple times, access of poor to loan. Honorable Speaker, access to loans does not mean escape from poverty, Honorable Speaker. With 24% interest rates, loans often turn into debt traps, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, they have they have asked a question, what is the alternative, Honorable Speaker? But we are not here to find an alternative. The very motion of our debate is we are trying to say how many people have been trapped in debt, Honorable Speaker. And if there is any alternative, the alternative the poor need is fair jobs, skills, and sustainable income, not debt cycles, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, they have talked about microfinance empowers women. Empowerment doesn't mean handing a woman a loan and leaving them drowning in repayments. In reality, women become the collection targets while men often use the money. That's not empowerment, Honorable Speaker, it's exploitation. Honorable Speaker, they have multiple times said that borrowers choose to take these loans so they can't be victims. It means they're saying that microfinance institutions don't force them on it. Honorable Speaker, choice without alternative is not real choice. When survival depends on borrowing, people are corrected by poverty. A starving man doesn't choose rotten bread. He is forced to take it, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, they have also said repayment rates are high, so the system is working. Honorable Speaker, high repayment rate doesn't mean success. It often means desperation. Borrowers sell assets, pull kids out of school, or take new loans just to pay back old ones, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, our Deputy Leader of Opposition and we've said multiple times, without microfinance, the poor would be stuck with moneylenders who charge even higher interest. Okay, replacing one exploiter with another isn't a solution. It's just a change of predator, Honorable Speaker. If MFIs really wanted to help, they would provide fair credit with support, not mimic moneylenders in suit. Honorable Speaker, they have talked about Andhra Pradesh incident. Honorable Speaker, why would a system that emerged as a beacon of hope and to reduce poverty, why would this system take lives, Honorable Speaker? What was created for empowerment took lives, and you are saying that it's mismanagement, Honorable Speaker? A single life shouldn't be harmed because of this, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, they have said that 95% repayment rates proves loans are manageable and shows discipline, not harassment. Honorable Speaker, repayment from selling land, skipping meals, or taking new loans is not success. It's desperation in disguise, Honorable Speaker. True success means profit-driven repayment, not survival-driven repayment, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, they have also said even survival loans help. Feeding kids and paying off medicine is empowerment too. But we want to say survival should be covered by societal safety net, not expensive loans, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, opposition will give you pretty theories and isolated success stories. We give you the reality, millions trapped in debt, families broken, communities shattered, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister. Wonderful debate, isn't it? How did you enjoy, the audience? Wonderful debate. Before concluding our session, let me hand over my mic to one of our honorable judges to make some comments. Now, I will first invite Mr. Honorable Chakma He is Debate and Workshop Secretary, Bangladesh Debate Federation.
I think for this particular debate, I would like to reserve my evaluation post the ballot is given. So I would give my evaluation after the ballot is given to both of the teams. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chakma. Let me hand over my mic to Ms. Farah Mezabin. She is former Joint Secretary of Jahangirnagar University Debating Society.
Thank you for the floor. Good evening, everybody. Let me directly, because of the time limitation, let me directly go to some comments. More like comments, I would like to ask both of the teams some questions, and please respond to that if possible. What is the goal of today's house? Is it survival or growth? You can answer. Is it survival or growth? What do you think? Since the answer is not clear, that means the goal was not set in this house. The primary mistake for both of the teams. Let me ask you the second question, okay? Go ahead. Just really short, please.
At the beginning, when we said health, we mean not just the profit or the income, rather than we focused on the surveillance, the resilience to the shocksness and other things that a person can have.
Thank you, but that is the process. That is the process of how you generate your argument. But the goal has to be set when you set the context. For example, if the context is set by the Prime Minister because he is the one who is proposing the motion, then apart from the context, you need to set the goal first and then infer it. Who are the stakeholders? For example, you talked about the stakeholders, but let me ask you my second question. It was really important. Are microfinance institutions stakeholders in this house or not? Apart from the marginalized people or needy people or poor people, what are the other stakeholders? Is microfinance institution not a stakeholder in this house? It is. Is the economy of our country or in general not a stakeholder in this house?
Yes.
But did any of the teams show me the benefit that microfinance institution have on economy in general? Like the consumption, like the rate of consumption, or how microfinance institutions are so separate from, let's say, non-financial institution or bank institutions?
It was an argument, but I think my fellow wasn't able to cover this. Such as my third argument was the microfinance institution reach to those, access to those, have access to those where conventional banking cannot have.
Now let me remind you that came in the rebuttal session.
No, I guess I stated as argument.
No, this solely came out as mechanism in the rebuttal session. Okay. However, the main difference in MFI and normal FIs are that normal FIs don't get any tax shield benefit. But microfinancing institutions, every microfinancing institution in the world get tax shield benefit, first of all. Secondly, they do not have to pay any extra fund for corporate social responsibility. Third benefit of a microfinancial institution is that every financial institution such as bank, or in our country, Lanka Bangla, institutions like that, they have to keep two statutory reserves. One is CSR and the second one is SLR. They have to pay the Bangladesh Bank for that. But no kind of microfinancial institution need to pay for that. That means microfinancial institutions get or have more amount of money as reserves in their financial, let's say, any kind of statements. Any kind of statements, they get that leverage. Now, if they get that leverage, what are they doing with that particular fund? Are they really helping the needy or marginalized people? If they are, the government has to show how they're doing it, and the opposition has to show how they are not doing it. Do you understand the debate now?
Yep.
Do you? Yes, but unfortunately you didn't go to that layer. That was missing. Obviously, the debate was good, so congratulations to both of the team. It was an enjoyable debate. However, the actual needed. Another thing is that if you only talk about Bangladesh, the situation becomes a little vague. But let's say we talk about Vietnam or Philippines. They have also infiltrated with the system, microfinancing system. If they could have gone from this level to that level, like from sump to a very growthable situation, why and how Bangladesh is not being able to reach that situation, that's where the question and the debate comes. So debates should start from the second layer, because the primary layers are already like kind of given because of the motion. And that's all about it. I just asked you some questions just to make you realize where the debate should have been and what you did, what was missed, and that's about it. Now I'll give the floor to Nasir Bhai. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the audience. Thank you to the participants. I would say that the debate was definitely very good. We have heard a lot of arguments, but from my side, I would have expected that some arguments placed by other teams should also be addressed. Yes, you have addressed. Both of the teams have addressed, but some of the very first level arguments. Say, like, if I want to mention very few of them, say you are the opposition, right? So this team was saying like microfinance loans was in place of local money lenders. So you are not any way addressing why microfinance can or cannot be a replacement of that local money lender, while they were arguing in favor of them. So you have not addressed at all that part. And have you addressed? No, you have not. You have not. Sorry? No, you have not. You have not. You have not at all. Then say microfinance is too bad. Okay. You can argue in favor of your position that even not only the microfinance institutes itself, even the banks also now, some of the banks already in the microfinance business, or some of them are also planning for microfinance business. So it's not like that only MFIs goes for microfinance. Even the formal channel like banks also is planning to go to microfinance. You can place that as your arguments against that motion, right? So that it get more stronger, right? So you have not mentioned at all. You are always saying MFIs, but is it only MFIs? It is saying about microfinance institution. But to support that thing, you can further include that banks, the formal channel like banks, also trying to engage in this sector, even through partnering with MFAs, this and that, right? As an alternative, they were asking for, say, if we don't have microfinance, you have addressed that at the last reply. That's a good sign that this motion is, or this today's house is not just to find alternatives. That's a good thing that you have addressed. So in a debate, in all the sessions that I have attended, we've seen in some of the debates, some people, some group, they are placing some arguments, but other team is not responding to the arguments that they are placing. But I would say almost, if not all, but almost 67% argument placed by other team has been addressed by the other team. That's a very good thing, a good improvement. So whichever team finally wins, I would say this was definitely a very good debate, a good preparation you have made. So congratulations to both the team. Let's see what the final results comes in. Thank you. Thank you.
debating contest we have enjoyed. Congratulations to both team Islam of Cameroon and Kong and Rahman Haq team won. The debate was very exciting and insightful as well. Requesting distinguished audience to bear with us. Within a very short time, we'll declare the result in this stage. Inshallah, within 10 minutes, we expect 10 to 15 minutes it may take to declare the result. The judges are working to assess. Hopefully they will come back and we'll declare the result, inshallah. Okay. Till then, please stay with us. Thank you very much. Very good evening, everybody. Now I would like to request all the distinguished guests to have a seat, please. And we'll start the result declaration formality. And we'll have our honorable guest onto the desk. Now I would like to request the honorable chairman of DRC to come onto the dais with our chief guest of this tournament, of today's tournament actually, our honorable Rokonujaman Sir, FCA, along with our all distinguished DRC members. Please. DRC Secretary Akijur Rahman FCA, bhai, please. And other respected DRC member, please come onto the dais, please. Israfil bhai, please. I would like to request the representative of the 4 teams, really, you deserve appreciation to nominate your team and to set your team in this stage. Really, this is very amazing and matter of honor to see your team in this stage. Now I would like to request Honorable Shobuz Bhai, partner of Mahmoud Shobuz and Kong, Rezaul, please. Partner, Director, Islam Aftab Kamrul and Kong, Abdullah Mamun Bhai, Director Eknabin Chartered Accountants. Mamun Bhai? Not there? Chole gise? Okay. Nazibullah, Raman Haq. Isn't he there? Where? You can please connect him. Okay, the respected judges are taking a little bit time for assessment purpose. Before that, I would like to request our respected brother Rezal Karim to have your comments on our tournament till now. Please, Reza.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম সবাইকে। শাহেদ ভাই প্রথম দিনে একটা কথা বলেছিল যে অনেকগুলো ফার্ম থেকে আমরা সামান্য কিছু ফার্ম হচ্ছে এই পার্টিসিপেন্টে অংশগ্রহণ করেছি এবং সেই দিনই নাকি আমরা সবাই জিতে গিয়েছি। তো আমি আমার টিমকে ওইভাবেই বলছি যে আমরা তো জিতেই গিয়েছি, সুতরাং এখন হচ্ছে কি গেমটা খেলে যেতে হবে, ঠিক আছে? কারণ একটা রুলস আছে প্রত্যেকটা গেমের, যে খেলে যেতে হবে এবং তার স্টেপ বাই স্টেপ প্ল্যান করতে হবে। তো আমরাও ঠিক অ্যাকর্ডিংলি স্টেপ বাই স্টেপ প্ল্যান করেছি। ইনশাল্লাহ আমরা বেশ ভালো বেশ কিছু টিমকে ডিফিট করে এই পর্যায়ে এসেছি। ইনশাল্লাহ আজকেও খুব ভালো ডিবেট হয়েছে। যেই টিমে জিতুক না কেন আমরা তো জিতে গিয়েছি ভাইয়ের কথা, সুতরাং সেটা নিয়ে এসে আমরা উই ডোন্ট বদার অ্যাবাউট উইন, অ্যাকচুয়ালি উই বদার অ্যাবাউট দ্য গ্যাদারিং, ঠিক আছে? তো যেটা বলবো যে সোফার যে ডিবেট হয়েছে 4টা টিমের ডিবেটই আমি দেখেছি। স্টুডেন্টরা এত এনগেজড আর এত আপডেটেড, আমরা মনে হয় ওদের থেকে অনেক পিছিয়ে। আমার কাছে পার্সোনালি এটা আমি মনে করি ওরা অনেক এগিয়ে গেছে এখনকার যুগে, ওরা অনেক আপডেটেড। ওদের কাছে যেই স্ট্যাটিস্টিক যেভাবে ওরা ধরে নিয়ে এসেছে খুবই সুন্দর ছিল ডিবেট। তো বেশি কিছু বলবো না, এতটুকুই বলতে চাই, জিতে গেছি আমরা ইনশাল্লাহ।
Thank you, Reza, for your kind remarks. Really, we are overwhelmed at your kind words. Now I'd like to request Honorable Shobuz Bhai, FCA, to have your comments and compliment onto the arrangement, please.
Thank you, Rashid. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk something in front of my students, colleagues, and ICAB administrative leaders. Thanks for arranging these very nice events. I strongly believe debate in such a actually game where the competitions, technical knowledge, research, study is actually essential to come at here and expose the team's strength and their actually leadership. From the very beginning, from last year to this year, we have actually sent 2 teams. Last year they actually come back from the quarterfinal. This year they reach at semi-final stage. I was always with the team while actually they seated in the office. I always check their research, their study, their exposures, their technical knowledge, their learnings, how actually they talk, how actually they write the script. So this is the actually event where there is a huge opportunity to connect student versus partners or principals, to follow up their actually their capabilities, follow up their groomings. Why I'm telling these things? Because by arranging such kind of events, they are also get the opportunity to come with at ICAB and connected with the ICAB leaders. So that is the good opportunity, I think. They are coming at here, but for the exam. But if they come here for the competitions, they know each other. They know their actually capabilities whether it is compatible to the other firms, whether it is actually sufficient, whether it is actually at a very the benchmark is very perfect or no. Because we all personally feel that we are more competent. But while we go for the competitions, we can easily understand whether we are at par or not. And from there, it starts that how actually we can actually reach or enhance our knowledge, our technical attitudes, our exposures, our leadership, our talkings. In the last events, some students was telling me that he never actually talked in the stage, but he is actually talking in the stage for last 2-3 events. So that is the actual achievement for the students. And for us, I strongly believe with this kind of events, or even accounting Olympiad, or even quiz competitions, or any other competitions, which ICAB DRC can actually arrange in quarterly, so that our students, our DRC leaders, our council team, they will know our future leaders, and they will actually get the peoples who can actually lead the institute in the futures. Debate is not actually, it's not singly actually, it's a boundary of the debate. Rather, I would say, the leader we are getting in from these competitions, they will actually, lead in the future chartered accountants, while actually it is necessary to the public and private actually forum. So I strongly believe this will help their capabilities, strength, and their communications. Of course, technical knowledge too. Thank you so much. Thanks for arrangement.
Thank you, Shabuj Bhai, for your nice words. Really, thank you. Don't get me wrong. I am just keeping the work ahead because judges are working to assess the result actually, and I am completing the formality in between. Well, now I am requesting the honorable convener of this tournament, who has given tremendous efforts to complete the event in that stage. So for now, and really appreciate your tremendous dedication, bhai. And big hand for our honorable convener, Israfil Bhai FCA. Well, now request Israfil Bhai FCA to have your remarks and have your hello to the audiences, please.
Assalamu alaikum and very good evening again. Thanks, we have presented our council member, DRC leaders, and respected members and dear students. Actually, I can't enjoy the real debate because I have to engage to work the formalities or other preparation. So I can't enjoy. Hopefully I will relieve in the next time from the convenership, and then I will inshallah enjoy your debate. Today I have observed 2 to 3 speaks, and they really very nicely they are presented, and their argument were very nice and informative. So I wish that the program will continue. Whoever will see it in the official, in the DRC. And first of all, really I would like to thanks to the participant team who have enjoyed. And our chairman already mentioned that, and that was also supplemented by our dear Reja, that you the team who has participated already on the debate, then it is just the formalities. Okay, our result is already finished, so I would like to finish here, and congratulations, the advance congratulations to the winning farms or winning team, and best wishes for the who has lost, but it is not at this level. We don't know who has lost. Okay, thank you very much for the participant. Thank you, Rashid.
Thank you, Israbil Bhai. Judges are request to have a seat, please. Well, Najibullah. Okay. Okay, this is the fourth stage of this debating tournament. Really, this is really great to see your team in that stage. And thank you very much to be present here. Can you please have some compliments and remarks on the arrangement so for now? Thank you. Have your experience, please.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Actually, some better things is created from logical debates, and really the environment I have seen here is the opposition and government parties are chasing one another with logical grounds, which sharpens our views, as well as to pass case study and other theoretical exams. These logical grounds are really important, and I would request the committee to make this more special through expanding the participations from various firms, and thanks everyone for joining here and making the sessions vibrant. Today's session was live in Facebook. It also raised awareness among all the firms, and obviously the firms are also serious about these programs, and in the future more and more through more sponsor attractions, the programs will be much more revolutionized for us. And thanks that the judges from different universities has come here, and they have really brought very much important inputs for the participants. It will also help them in developing themselves and the next final round. Thank you.
Thank you, Najibullah. Beyond everything and everyone, the persons who have given us tremendous dedication and efforts beyond our members or our students, they are none but the judges. Well, from judges' part, I would like to request our beloved Farah to have your remarks on the arrangement. Please come on to the dais and have your remarks. As judges, you have put your remarks on the basically debater. Now, I'd like to request you to have a comments on the arrangement actually. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum everybody. My name is Farha Mezabin. I am from JUDS, Jahangirnagar University Debating Society. Rashid Bhai has asked me to say or comment something about the organizers. For that, let me just say one thing I have been throughout a member or an adjudication panel in this season, one or first season as well, and this season as well. So the organizing team has done a marvelous job in making this particular trend going on and on, because starting something new is hard. Something that has been going on, for example, in my campus, JUDS started in 1998. So from then on, we have been debating and debating and debating. But to start something anew and then to continue it for 2 consecutive seasons, it takes a lot of effort. So that ultimately explains how the organization team has been working so hard for it. Apart from that, I have always believed that debate requires 4 elements. First of all, the knowledge, then skills, then timing, and of course the experience. So in order to gain all of those, you need to stick to debate, because a debate is one of my favorite sports. I think that also explains why I have been debating for 11 years now. So it has been one of my favorite sports, and I believe that debate not only will help you in winning trophies or championships, debate also helps you understand the perspectives of different segments. So just not for the championship or winning purpose, rather doing the debate because you want to do it and you want to incorporate that skills in your day-to-day life is also an achievement. Lastly, towards the participants who have participated this year, in a real world or in like competitive world, we never say lose or win, because no debaters are losers, okay? So what we say is either you have broken into the semis or the next round or not. For instance, we would say have this team broken into the semis, or these teams might not have been qualified or broken into the quarterfinals. So we use the term break instead of winning and losing, right? So I said that because debaters here are they have so much potential. I just want you to continue and understand your potential and work on it in the future, both for the teams who have gone to the next round and for the teams who have not, because understand this concept, it's all about those 4 skills and a bit of your luck. So this might change everything. Though you might be a good debater, but sometimes your luck or your favor or your timing might not work. So don't get demotivated and keep on debating. A very big round of applause for the team and the participants. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to request our honorable DRC member, our beloved Mushtaq Bhai, to have your comments on this, please.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম। রেজাল্ট আমাদের হাতে চলে আসছে, আমি আসলে বেশি কিছু বলতে চাই না। আপনারা সবাই অবশ্যই রেজাল্ট শোনার জন্য অবশ্যই প্রতীক্ষা করতেছেন। আমি শুধু একটা কথাই বলবো, আমরা আসলে আপনাদের মধ্যে থেকে ডিআরসি লিডারশিপ দেখতে চাই ইনশাল্লাহ আগামীতে। আমরা চাই আপনারা এখানে আসেন, আমরা যা করতেছি তার চেয়ে ভালো কিছু করেন এবং আমাদের আইসিএবির উত্তরোত্তর যেন সাফল্য থাকে এবং আমরা যেন ভালো কিছু করতে পারি, সেই প্রত্যাশা আপনাদের কাছে রাখছি। অ্যাজ ওয়েল এজ সবাইকে অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ এবং অ্যাডভান্স কংগ্রেচুলেশন সবাইকে। আপনারা যেভাবে আসলে ডিবেটে পার্টিসিপেশন করেছেন, ইট ওয়াজ রিয়েলি অসাম এবং সবাইকে অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ। আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mushtaq Bhai, for your kind words. Well, now not taking much time, just directly going to our honorable chief guest of this session, our very, very beloved Rokunu Jaman Sir FCA, our Vice President of ICAB, one of our guardians, obviously. Okay, now requesting Honorable Rokunu Jaman Sir to have your remarks and comments on this, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Yep, I can remember during my preamble session I was talking about when you plan to win a war, you have to win one or number of battles. So I guess today, as I was just listening to the speakers in a session which was semi-final, isn't it? So meaning that you had to pass through number of other sessions, winning one after the other. So, excuse me. Sorry. So, I mean, it talks about the patience, it talks about the enthusiasm, it talks about the courage that you have been gaining over these sessions. So, the champions of today's sessions, two, just, short to one game awaiting. So that's the winning of war. I mean, it's a battle going on. Having said that, I would express my happiness listening to you. I would like to congratulate the organizers that they have been demonstrating over the years that enthusiasm, I mean, the energies, the capacity of organizing, I mean, these sessions over a consecutive second years, perhaps this is, isn't it? So I would request you please carry on doing it, because we are all building our future leaders. I can take you to a memory lane. When I was a student of graduation, I was studying Encyclopedia of Education of US. I got to see one simple sentence. The power of expression. The US people believe that you might be epitome of knowledge, but you can't express. Do you know? They would measure you half of you. You'd be counted half. Meaning, if you cannot express your knowledge in terms of writing, in terms of speaking, your knowledge is of no value. Or if it has at all any value, it would be half. Oratory is power. Expression gives you, I mean, let's say, spaces anywhere you go, anywhere you move in, move out. So as you have been building our future leaders, I mean, we have got logistic supports, technologies, we have got almost everything. The younger generations have been demonstrating their enthusiasm, so we should all keep encouraging them. I would request DRC, current leadership, and the future generations to carry on doing these things over the year after year. And you should innovate something new as well. Not within this particular way that you've been doing it. Let's say that the judges, I mean, Farah was commenting on the way that, I mean, these two teams were arguing on their own areas of speaking. I think they got to learn something new as well. So as you carry on doing something in terms of like offering these sessions, I think that leaders, you should be finding that innovations, you should allow your participants to innovate in their own sessions as well. So having said that, I would like to conclude my session. I think the result is awaiting, isn't it? So, I mean, that you will be, I mean, listening to the, I don't know, somebody will be declaring the result just in few moments. Thank you. I think it was a good session. A big applaud for the participants as well as the organizers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time and kind words. Well, the result will be declared by our honorable chief guest, obviously, within 1 minute. But this is really difficult time and difficult for the organizer as well, because this is really difficult for any organizer, for any event, to convince the loser. Actually, this is not the losing in that stage, because every team has shown tremendous effort and excellence till now to qualify for the fourth round. This is the fourth round, that means semi-final. Well, congratulations to the winner and best wishes for the loser who have been qualified for the final this time, and hope for the best for the next time, inshallah. Okay, handing over the microphone to our chief guest to declare the result. Patience is over. I'm not taking test for your patience. Okay, sir, please.
audience, gaze. I think there are two parties. I mean, the first was on what? I mean, topic was, grants. I mean, for foreign aid is, I mean, let's say, cars or blessings. The government party was talking about what? Cars. Talking in favor of cars. And the opposition was talking about blessing. Gauge who are the winners. DRC is the winner. DRC chairman says they are the winners. Okay. Let's not keep waiting any longer. I think there was sufficiently debate within the judges. The result came up with 2-1. I think 2 judges versus 1 judge. Okay. One party scored 270. The other party scored 268. Imagine the fierce competition. My goodness, only too much difference. I think this talks about the beauty of the competitions. It has gone neck to neck. I'm Rukunujaman, Vice President of ICAB. Not partner of ECNAMIN today. I see ECNAMIN secured to 70. And do you know who was the best speaker? Deputy Prime Minister. Best speaker, Deputy Prime Minister and Leader of Opposition. Jointly. Who was DPM? Who was DPM? A Leader of Opposition? Congratulations. And mark-wise, of course, I have declared the winning team is government and ECNAMIN. Congratulations to ECNAMIN and commiserations. I think next time you will be scoring much better and hope that you will be winning next battle. The next item was about microfinance. The Judge Farah was asking, was it growth or survival? I think the day that microfinance started, it started talking about, in fact, both. But at different point of its journey towards future up until now, there has been proponents, there has been debates. Some people talk about that microfinance has badly cursed the whole nation, while some people talk about, in many cases, it has built the foundation of many things in our poorer segments in the society. Therefore, there is no shortcut answer to it. There is no critical right or wrong. It has done both. But if it is something for growth or survival, again, I mean, if two sides are put on the two different tables, they will be debating. Having said that, again there is a result. There are teams, Islam Aftab Kamrul, and the other team was Rahman Aman Haq. Now the difference is 4. As opposed to the first session, it was 2, now its difference is 4. Islam Aftab and Kamrul secured 271. While Rahman Aman Haq secured 267. Winner government. Huh? The winning team is definitely government. I think you are the government, isn't it? Okay. Best speaker is Prime Minister. Again, there was huge debate in the judges panel. The result is again 2 judges versus 1. So meaning, you see, I mean, you are debating. On the other hand, to bring about a right sort of result, judges had debates as well. So that's how you bring out the best of all these sessions. So congratulations, Islam Aftab and commiserations to RRAs. I think, I mean, life is not end here. I think you can have further journey. I think today, I mean, one team won, the other lost. Maybe next time that same firm will win and the other firm will lose. We should keep our journey going on. Thank you. Big applause. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your kind words and declaration of result. Now request the Honorable Chairman of DRC to conclude today's session.
Thank you, Rashid. Congratulations to the winning teams, and special congratulations to all the team, all the 4 teams, because as I said in the quarterfinal, all are winners, and even the other 20 teams also wins the battle because they have that courage to fight here, but others didn't. So thank you all. Thank you for joining, and I am inviting all of you on the final of 10th October next. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The topic of final debate will be declared later, and we'll ask the leader and team representative of the finalist in future. We will definitely let you know. Okay. Now we are not declaring the debate topic. We will declare the debate topic after a few days, hopefully 2 or 3 days later, and we'll let you know, inshallah. Now concluding the remarks, end of today's session. Thank you very much. Thank you for being with us, and have a good day. Thank you very much.